Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. I am Jaylee. This is JayLeesCorner, and this is a premiere for the review of Kandi and the Gang, okay? Season 1, Episode 3. And I have to say, the dang on theme song is stuck in my head. I like it a lot, okay? I be like, dang, man, I didn't want to like the song. I thought it was stupid, and now I be just sitting around, the place to be. I'm like, my God, shut up. Stop singing that song. We're strangers become family. I was like, Kandi, okay, you know what you be doing. But anyway, y'all know first things first, make sure to do a couple of things. One, subscribe to my channel, please and thank you. But also make sure to like the video, okay? Comment in the comment section. I know this is the premiere and it's gonna be rewatches or whatever, but go ahead and comment in the comment section amongst yourselves and whatnot, okay? You can also share the video and stuff. Now, do not forget to also follow me on social media at JayLeesCorner. Now, look, I have not felt like getting on camera for the past few days, okay? But I will be on camera tonight, okay? Because I am going to do a live review for the craziness that is the Bad Boys Club that came on Zeus, honey. I just have to do a live review for that tonight. So I will be on camera for that. But other than that, I'm gonna be around here, you know what I'm saying, in the background of it all. But y'all know the people. Okay, the people who was people to be. So we do see the episode pick up right where the last one left off. And Philip and Torin, you know what I'm saying, is out here fussing back and forth, okay, with a whole shady session between, the two gay men or whatever. And look, I still blame Don Juan and Kennedy. I still blame Don Juan and the Ken of the D because they made Torn feel like you are back on board, go into your thing or whatever, leave it be. And Philip felt like you came in here and they talked to me or whatever. I don't like it. So again, I blame the other management people. Now, Philip, again, is still very stern. He still has an attitude because his thing is, you the staff people, you say, I don't have to explain myself to you, okay? You have to explain yourself to me. It ain't that I need you. And I'm like, Philip, just calm down, sir. Just take a breath. Go have a little margarita, or a little ice water, or a little strawberry lemonade, okay? Just get some of your system to calm you down, sugar. Now, Torin was like, whatever, okay, I'm going to walk away now. You are what everyone said you were, a great guy. You have a lot to prove, buddy, and then walked out. I said, oh, now you got a lot to prove, buddy, then left. Torrance energy and Philip's energy match each other. Okay. At that point, they both like, you know what? Fuck you. I don't care. Get out my face. Because when Philip said, I'm gonna keep working here because that was more interesting than what we had right here. And Torrance said, you called me over here. I say, Lord Jesus. Okay, but this is what happens when you have, regular staff people who are cool with some management who kind of let them do whatever, and then the new person come in and then they feel like, well, sir, fuck you. I don't care about you because they already said I'm in here like somewhere. Now we then see because he leave out or whatever, Philip ends up leaving out too, but we see that Torin goes and complains to Kandi who was there, and we seen Philip went and was complaining to Don Juan. But Philip seen Torin talking to Kandi, so he knew, okay, he on some BS or whatever. He brought his Big Bird. I was like, not Big Bird, not calling that man Big Bird because the sweater was yellow. But it was just crazy. Now, Torin complaining to Kandi to me is what I feel is wrong because you can't be complaining about one manager to the owner simply because, as I said before, I blame Don Juan and Kandi. Because every time any of them have an issue with Philip, they run to Don Juan and Kandi, which makes Don Juan and Kandi feel like, well, Philip must be the issue. Philip needs to change. And I'm like, but y'all brought him in so they wouldn't keep doing this stuff. So I'm like, wow, Philip does need to calm down, take a breather. The reason he's trying to be structured is for the right reasons, okay? And again, sometimes, you hit a couple potholes on the way to fixing things or whatever. But Torn feel like I've been in this business for 12 years. And I have, I've been here for a while or whatever. And Philip came to me like I'm a child. And I was like, I mean, he did. And Torn had a reason to be offended. But Torn also had a preconceived notion about Philip. The same way Philip had a preconceived notion about Torn. Everybody got preconceived notions about everybody and everybody in their feelings or whatever. But again, I don't fully blame Philip. I don't. And I'm not saying he's innocent at all, because he do need to calm the hell down. But I'm like, the reason he's being this way is based on what y'all, meaning management, told him about the staff. But I mean, whatever. So when Philip talks to Don Juan, Kandi ends up coming up because Kandi does tell Tuna, look, go ahead and in there, he came out of the event space to go in the event space to figure things out or whatever, because we'll get it all figured out. And Philip issue when talking to Kandi and Don Juan, like, look, I don't like his attitude, you know what I'm saying? I don't like him coming in as if I need him because I don't need him or whatever, and I don't want to deal with him. So if he works here and he's, because I don't need him to play any events. So if that's what he's here to do, then y'all can deal with him. And Kim, like, well, hold up, you got him, you messing up now, okay? Because I'm the owner, okay? You don't pay me, I pay you. But I like how Kandi did say, you've worked at Blaze and had to deal with difficult people before who was unprofessional, and you have never came to me and said, you don't want to deal with them. I need to. So don't start that shit now. And Kandi's point was, you here to do a job. So you can't say to me that you're not going to deal with staff, that I should do it because that's what I paid you to do. Okay. Handle it. Okay. Handle it or whatever. Okay. Because I was like, I mean, she's right. That's what it is. We do see the bartender Dom Unique is, we see that she's always late. Dom Unique is always late. Okay. And today she's 2 hours late. I'm like, 2 hours late? How you 2 hours? But I mean, look, this is my thing. Life happens. So, sometimes we may be late for work. But it seemed like she always late. The same way they said that Chandrika's always late. Now, the one time we seen Chandrika come in late, she was like on time, but still late. Okay. 2 hours late is like, that's the whole thing. So it's weird because when we seen Brian and Chandrika, like, where is Dom Unique? Dom Unique is the bartender. So while they're downstairs taking orders, she's supposed to be the ones making the drinks for them to take to the people's tables. And so she isn't there. That causes other folks to have to do their job. And for 2 hours, that's a lot of time or whatever. But they're asking Brian where she at, and Brian on his phone, standing around texting. I'm texting to get a plumber. How you texting to get a plumber? I mean, do you know the plumber? I don't know. Anyway, I felt like he was probably texting Dom Unique to find out where she was. He eventually says, I talked to her, shown her way. We see that she did FaceTime him saying, I just got finished dancing. So I'm gonna be on my way. And we then see she got there eventually, again, 2 hours late. But the fact that Brandon was just kind of standing around as if it was a big deal, and he just didn't seem like he cared that she was late because he fucking that lady, or he attempted to mess with her or whatever. But to me, it was complete bullshit. But it was weird because even before they were waiting before she got there, and Brian was saying to Brandon, "Hey, we need somebody to handle these drinks or whatever." And Brandon is sitting at the bar eating food, and he then told him, "Well, you can do it." And I'm like, "What kind of manager?" Because usually, okay, if your person who worked there isn't there, the manager either has it done or put someone in charge to do it. But you can't just not do shit and then be sitting around like it's nothing and then say, "Oh, you can do it." But what are you doing, sir? You're not even supposed to be sitting there. If I'm leave that be, I'm going to leave that be. And then when Dom do come in again, 2 hours late, she walked in with a drink. I said, "How you walking into work with a drink? How was that? Like you was a superstar." Honey, what? But girl, that's these Kandi employees or whatever. And then she was complaining, like, "Oh my God, it is so dirty back here." Well, guess what? Had you been here, okay, other folks would not have been putting stuff back there to make it dirty. Okay, it's dirty because you ain't been there. But I'm not gonna do your job. So we do see Chandrika talking to Philip. Okay, and I'm like, oh, it's a nice interaction. He's not cussing her out. She's not cussing him out. And neither one of them has an attitude. And then you can see, like, how's today going? She's like, oh, it's fine, except him at the shit show because, the bartender wasn't here, so that made it strain on everybody else. So we all had to, pull her weight because she wasn't here, okay? And Brandy wasn't doing shit or whatever. And it was some bullshit. And Brandy was acting like it wasn't nothing. And so the fact that they could, he said to her, well, see, things was a little bit rocky, but you still was able to do your job and step in and help. So it's fine. So again, it was cool seeing them being at a good place. He said, well, Chandrika's fine at this all because she can tell folks what she did because somebody else wasn't doing their job. So when she has to do someone else's job, oh, she's gonna be real vocal about that because it makes her look better that she helped, but she's also complaining at the same time, okay, to get somebody else in trouble. So we then see Philip and another manager who said was an interim manager, going out and talking to Brandon. Brandon, who isn't inside the restaurant helping, he's outside, in the parking lot area on his phone. And I'm like, what does he do? Why have we not seen him do anything? And again, it's a thing to where you see this is why they couldn't really put him in the position of general manager, because he ain't doing shit on any given Sunday. Okay, now Philip was like, "You chilling? You on break?" He's like, "Yeah, man, take a little break. You always on break. It seems, Brandon, always on break." And then when he asked him, "Well, how did they go?" "Oh, it's cool." He's like, "Nigga, no, it wasn't. It wasn't at all." But he tells him how, look, we need to be an example to the other employees, to the staff, okay? Because we need to help out when help is needed. We can't no longer stand around and not do things and avoid when help is needed, okay? Because if they see us chipping in, it makes them want to, work too, because they feel like, we are trying to help them and blah, 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 blah. Now, Brandon was like, I do not like the style of being a manager to where, the stern one. I don't want to be strict one, because Brandon wants people to still like him, like the friendly co-worker, and not the manager who sometimes have to say, hey, you ain't doing your job. Okay, now stop bullshit now and just get some work done now, whatever. So it's a thin line between, being a friend manager and just being a manager who can also hold somebody accountable for what they're supposed to do. But I think Brandon kind of avoids all of that because he wants to bang uh Dom Unique, and he wants to be friends with other people. But him saying how I'm saying basically fuck this conversation. I don't care what the talk. He said it in part. He said it in the confession. But for him to feel like he doesn't have to listen to what Philip wants to be done and how things. I was like, see, that's the reason why Philip be acting how he acting, because again, people don't respect what he say. And the fact that Brandon said, "Yeah, fuck Philip, I ain't got time for that shit. I ain't what I want to do. Leave me alone. I'm gonna do things that I want to do things or whatever." Now we do see later on the Rashad guy who is supposed to be the helper of the hostess gig, and no, not Brandon, Brian, who was sit at the bar. And apparently the staff is not supposed to sit at the bar if they're on shift. Okay, go sit somewhere else, because it just does not look presentable and professional for the staff to be at the bar chilling out or whatever. And so they're aware of that. But however, as we said earlier, or it was either no, maybe yesterday, we seen Brandon sitting at the bar eating and just lounging around or whatever. So when Brandon sees Brian and Rashard sitting there, he come up and say, "Hey, him saying y'all can't be sitting here." They are aware of that, but still sat there. Now, while Rashard got up, Brian felt like, "Well, you were sitting here before. Well, I'm management, okay?" And that's why I was. So it was a back and forth thing to where Brian felt like, "Well, I don't have to listen to Brandon because Brandon do shit he ain't supposed to do, and I don't really respect him." Truthfully, as the manager, I don't really see him as an authority figure because he be sitting around here not doing shit. So it is what it is. And Brandon felt that from Brian, how Brian did not immediately listen and took it as a joke. Okay, so when he goes to talk to Philip about it, just saying how I was telling Rashad and Brian, we not be sitting at the bar, them sending Brandon, girl. And Brandon then said how Brian gave him like pushback and like an attitude or whatever. He just kind of wasn't happy with it, about Brian snapping at him. And so Philip said, "Oh, well, you should just, instead of sweeping it on the rug, you should handle it, address it. I'm saying address it right now." So we then see Brandon, Philip, and Don Juan have a conversation with Brian about the whole thing. And again, it's clear that Brandon wants to be cool with the staff, and for that reason, they don't respect him. And so that's why he wanted to not really address it right now, because then I have to be a manager. I don't want to be a manager. Because again, it's stupid. So when Brandon says to Brian how he did not appreciate, the whole situation and him not listening to him, it was funny because Brian was like, "Oh, okay." And he said it in a way of like, "Bruh, I don't care what you're saying. You know what I'm saying? I don't care that you was offended that I did not listen to you. I don't really care." Because again, they don't respect Brandon. which then made Don Juan say, "Well, it's about respect because we have to respect folks around here when it comes to management." And Philip then kind of, speaks up and says, "It's about respect. It's about this. I've had, a few interactions with you, and I don't like them." I'm like, Philip, how you coming in hot? How? How? Okay. Now I feel like maybe Brian was given the same attitude to Philip that he was given to Brandon. And Philip is the person where you give him that lip, he comes back harder and more stern. Brandon just didn't wasn't saying shit. And Don Juan was looking around looking like, oh shit, here we go. Another fussing fighting between, Philip and somebody else. And when Philip brings up how, you have to respect management or whatever, and I could fire you, but Brandon's being lenient or whatever. Saying, and when Brandon, because he said, "Oh, because I've been in your shoes before, and I've never acted how you're acting." And again, I do feel like Brian was probably mouthing off back and forth because that's what he does a little bit. Even though I like Brian, I really like Brian. I think he's a great person on the show, but I also feel like he's still at the point right now where he feel like he's gonna snap back at whoever because he's been there so long. And when he, says to Philip, "Well, you have never been in my shoes because I wear size 8. What size you wear?" I was like, "Oh, Lord." And he's like, "See that right there, just that back and forthness of it all and not respecting the fact that you're talking to the manager. You know what I'm saying? You're suspended." And I was like, "Ooh, he be sending folks home." But again, in management, that's usually what they do, honey. So when he says that, Brian is, "For what? For?" I was like, Lord Jesus. And when Don Juan said, "Why are you yelling?" I'm like, oh, he must have been loud. Because for Don Juan said, "Why are you yelling?" means he was, you know what I'm saying? But again, Don Juan admitted, Brian was being insubordinate. Like, truth be told, he said, but Philip was still being extra, what I'm saying? I'm always out here trying to play referee each time Philip is fussing with somebody. But I'm like, you can't fully keep blaming Philip. You can't. The same way you can't fully blame the staff. I blame Don Juan, Kandi, Todd, and Brandon because you have these employees who feel like I don't have to listen to the person they hired to manage the restaurant who was my boss. I don't have to listen to them because I've been here longer than he's been here and he ain't nobody. He's going to be a temporary manager or whatever because everybody who come here leave. And because staff have that notion, they do not respect Philip. And because Philip has been an asshole, it makes them not like him even more and want to keep pushing against the grain. So again, it's a damn powder keg of bullshit if you ask me. So we then see Don Juan say, "Brian, walk with me. Come on, let's go." And while Don Juan does check Brian and say, "You was totally out of line. I can't believe you did that or whatever." Um, but Brian, like, I don't care. Like, nobody like Philip. I'm saying he ain't gonna be here long. I'm saying he on bullshit. And Don, like, but that don't matter. At the end of the day, he is your manager. And he was brought in to do what Candy didn't want done. And the fact that anyone could say, "Man, fuck him. He ain't gonna be along. I don't care." It means y'all don't respect the boss enough to respect who they hired to do a job. So y'all love Candy, cool, 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 but Candy hired him to do a job. And y'all still saying, "Fuck that man. We could just run him off because can't nobody handle us." And Philip, like, I'm gonna keep being an asshole, and y'all gonna keep getting sent home. Because when y'all do some dumb shit, I just send y'all home, and y'all ain't getting paid, okay? But I'm gonna leave that be too. So we see that, Brian gets sent home. And then when Philip and Don Juan talk, Philip was pissed. "I am very upset over what happened. I cannot believe this. This is some bullshit." And I was like, oh, he is upset. And Don Juan, like, he's having a tantrum. I don't get paid enough to deal with children, having tantrums over bullshit. And again, Don Juan does try to say, how you say things and do things to be a whole thing or whatever. And I get you being upset that the staff is not respecting your authority. Okay, I get that. But what you can't keep having this whole combative thing. You're fussing with somebody or whatever, and then someone has to come in and play referee. And I was like, "Oh Lord Jesus." Everyone has a point, but again, for me, it starts with y'all know these staff do whatever. Now y'all upset that the person y'all brought in to be strict on management is being strict with management. Like, what the fuck you want him to do? And not only that, he don't know them folks how y'all know them folks. So where y'all can kind of have these friendly conversations or whatever, he ain't there yet. So I mean, I'm gonna leave that beyond right here. Um, the Kandi and the aunties go to water aerobics. I was like, I didn't care. And they had Chandrika doing them. I was like, girl, I guess so. I'm leave that be. But when they sit around chitting and chatting, Kandi asked her how things been at the restaurant. It's been, different and good or whatever. You know, Philip sent Brian home. She's like, what? He just came back. How Philip sent him home? I don't know, but he sent Philip home. And Mama Joyce was like, and also she brings up how her and Philip, are kind of okay now. Because she just don't be mouthing off of what she's like. He come in, and when I do my job, and that's it. And Mama Joyce then said, well, yeah, because you not doing what you did to get sent home. Okay, y'all okay because whatever you did to get sent home, you not doing that no more, which is true because she was in home for being, what I'm saying, a little bit attitude-ish or whatever. And so because of she's saying, I'm gonna come in, do my job, and not really trying to, what I'm saying, Lord Jesus, fuss with him, things have been easy. So she hasn't been, on her fuck you, Philip Steve. She's like, all right, whatever. I'm saying it's my job. That's your job. I'm gonna leave it be. Now, when Kandi brings up how she's going to have a whole conversation, with Philip or whatever, but also with the staff to get this a little smoother, thing. It's a little smoother transition to things. And Mama Joyce said the best thing. She's like, no, the staff don't respect the management, okay? And that's a problem. If they don't respect the management, they should be sent home fired. I was like, that's true. Kandi really is this nice person. Let's give them all chances. We can't fire everyone. You can't fire everyone, but you can send their ass home enough where they'll stop doing whatever it was that you did not want them to do. At the same time, Philip has to also realize your first step can't be sending them home. That can't be the first step. Okay, you get like 2 steps before that step and then send their ass home. But again, everybody is on a learning curve right now. Okay. They trying to make this whole what's this boy name? Kandi's nephew, who run the parking lot, who name I can't think of right now. We seen him and his girlfriend. I said, I don't have time. We seen them all hanging out or whatever. And we seen Chandrika, who we used to mess is his name, your name, I feel like this other man's name. Old boy and Chandrika used to talk. But when Chandrika brought her fiance to the party, we found out that they actually had like words earlier. Okay. Patrick. His name is Patrick. Patrick and Chandrika's current fiance had work. We kind of find out that they kind of shot this show in 2020. So the pandemic kind of stopped everything. So we're seeing like little flashbacks of things that happened before, currently and whatever. But I'm like, I don't really care about this whole weird dynamic of Patrick, who used to mess with Chandrika. But I'm like, if she has a whole new boyfriend now and he has a whole new girlfriend, I don't really care. It's weird, okay? And even seeing, Patrick had torn up to the house to have Torrin decorate, and he wants to also throw him a housewarming party. And we know girlfriend Safari, is it Safari? Safari, I don't know. But she like don't want Torrance to be the one to decorate because she can do that. You know what I'm saying? And she don't want Chandrika being invited to the housewarming, even though all the other co-workers are coming. I'm looking like, girl. So again, they trying to make it a thing. I don't care that much. If it becomes a real thing, of course we will discuss it. But other than that, Patrick stopped being pussy whipped. But the end was Torrin and Brian meet up to talk over some little ice cream or whatever. Now we know that Brian and Torrin used to talk back in a little while ago, tugging and pulling. But what he said was he elaborated on it on Kandi Speak on it. He said, they had been hanging out or whatever, they all work at the place, and they had been flirting back and forth or whatever. And then one night while hanging out together, it was also, I think, like maybe Torrin's best friend. There was flirting then or whatever. But then Torrin's best friend girlfriend came over. And then Torrin then invited Brian back to his house because him and the best friend stayed in the same building. So once they got back to Torrance house. So we go kissing and hugging and making out, I'm saying, little foreplay. She said we never had sex. Okay, we was tugging and pulling on each other because this thing was too big. Okay, and he told me Brian said he gonna tell me to sit on it. I was like, I ain't not me. No. I said, is it that big? Okay, is it? But I guess it is. He said so. After that, they just became still great friends. So like we didn't we never did it, but we tugged and pulled on each other, which means they just mutually masturbated. Anyway, so they talk about, Philip, of course, and Brian said, yeah, he suspended me, you know what I'm saying? I don't like him. And he's the 10th manager, there will soon be an 11th, so fuck him. Okay, I don't really care. Okay, but they didn't go on what Brian's, issues are, whatever. So Brian has, battled with sobriety. He was also on drugs or whatever. He brings up how, during the pandemic, his drug and drinking got worse. It was bad. He was already drinking drugging before, but then once he was, in isolation by himself, he said, I was drinking drugging even more, and it got so bad. At one point I was throwing up blood, and I panicked or whatever. So during the pandemic and quarantine, I had to get help because of how bad it got. He was on, of course, Kandi speak on it, and he kind of said like I was just hallucinating. I was gonna die. He said it got really, really, really bad. So he ended up going to the hospital, and he was in there for like 5 days, you know what I'm saying? And he got better, but then he found out his ex-boyfriend had died, which made him start drinking again. And then after that, he went to rehab again. So he said now he drinks wine. He said because he need people to know the bad, like he said the drinking wasn't that bad, and I now have that under control. Like the bad part about it was me drinking and doing the drugs. Like the drugs were really, really almost killed me, and I would never do drugs again. Like I would just never, ever, ever do drugs, even though I know it's drugs, that's around the entertainment industry. I'm just at a point where I know I cannot do them. And I know I have to control my drinking, so that's why now I just drink wine. And I think people don't get sometimes there's a difference between someone being an alcoholic and they need to not drink at all, between someone who was just drinking too much and needed to contain their drinking. And he seemed like he's not a person who was an alcoholic, but he also was aware that he needed to control what he drank. And so now he makes a conscious effort to, just be aware of what he's doing or whatever. And he also speaks on his sister who committed suicide, which was 49, about 3 months prior to the show. Well, at that time when they were doing confessionals, it was just 3 months ago. So again, he's still dealing with a lot. Okay, he misses his sister and all of that. And so it was crazy. So that's why I said I love Brian's character. He seems very funny. He seems fun, but I also feel like he can't feel like, because I've worked here for so long and I have this history within OLG and Kandi, that I don't have to listen to people in management. I want him to not have that notion. And he did say on the speak on it with Kandi that him and Philip are now in a better place. And Philip has helped a lot and has helped change OLG for the better. So it's a good thing that we know there's some kind of, there at the end of this tunnel is going to be some light. But he also brought up him and Kandi was talking about how the show, they've been trying to get this show done for 4 years. From the time they first told him that they wanted him on the show to, when it actually, was being shot and aired, so much had happened between those times. It was crazy. Because again, COVID happening and kind of stopping shit for 2 years means when we first shot the pilot, let's say 2.5 years ago to now, so much happened in between time. In the meantime, people who were, on the show then aren't on the show now. She's like other folks that came and left from OLG, just because of the pandemic. So it was hard, getting the show to where it is now. And I'm like, that's fine. For me, I do think they have a good cast now, and it probably would be even better next season, because by then it'll be even further away from, pandemic stuff or whatnot. So we shall see. But otherwise, y'all, that was our episode. I hope y'all enjoyed. I will see y'all tonight for my review of Bad Boys LA. And whatever. Okay, so have a good night, y'all. Be good and be blessed. Peace.